It's good to be back. Welcome back to the channel. I appreciate you spending a little bit of the time out of your day with me. I'm really appreciative of that. I don't take that for granted, so thank you so much. I really wanted to get this video out before I went on my anniversary trip. And speaking of, quick shout out to, well, I don't know if they want to be named, but shout out to a bunch of people that are fellow Grimsby supporters who checked up on me, sent me some well wishes, and some safe travel messages and all that. So shout out to you guys. You all are awesome, and it made me feel good. And I even got my super hot wife to model a Grimsby hat for us on the beaches of Nigeria. So I'll try to put that up on the screen. I don't have a clue how it's going to turn out on the screen, but we'll find out when I edit this video. So I'm a little late. Obviously, I wanted to get this out probably 2 weeks ago. That kind of went in line with the strikers and the other goalkeeper video, which if you haven't watched those, it's going to make a whole lot more sense if you start over there instead of this one. This one should be the part, I guess, 4 of the 4-part series. But so just to, I guess, refresh a little bit, this is going to be 5 goalkeeping options that I think we should target this summer should we get promoted to League One. The previous one was if we don't get promoted. So this is the follow-up to that. And just again, quick little message. This does not mean that I wish anything ill of our current goalkeepers or anything like that. It's just, in my opinion, obviously depth and talent-wise, goalkeeper and strikers are the positions that we struggle with the most. And these are positions that I think we should look into upgrading, especially if we get promoted. And I'm going to try to cover every base possible: veteran backup, young guys, veteran starters, pretty much you name it, it's going to be in this video. So without further Freddy ado, let's go right ahead and get into today's video. The first goalkeeper of the 5 that I've got on today's list is, and I'm going to go ahead and get my American bias out of the way early, that way we can get back to our regularly scheduled program, and that is Gabriel Slonina. He goes by Gaga. So Slonina is 20 years old, and say what you want about Major League Soccer, okay? Anything negative, I most likely agree with you anyway, so don't worry. But no matter what, having years starting under your belt as a teenager in Major League Soccer, no matter what you think of the league, that's still pretty impressive. And not only was he starting as a teenager in MLS, but he was performing very well. And so much so that he got a move to Europe. Now, I don't necessarily agree with the move that he made, but nonetheless, he was transferred to Chelsea, and he instantly became probably the 17th choice goalkeeper. So obviously that meant he took a loan his first year at Chelsea to the well, I'm going to be honest with you, even if I knew the team, it was in Denmark, even if I knew the team, I probably would not know how to say the team's name, so I'm not even going to go there. But if you want to know more about his stint in Denmark, please just go to his Wikipedia page and you can find out about it. He was on a very poor team there, so I mean, it's to be argued how much that actually benefited him. But he went back to Chelsea last summer, and then he took a loan to Barnsley. And obviously Barnsley was a League One team and a League One team that has ambitions to go back up to the championship. Because if you remember, not even that handful of years ago, they actually were fighting for a spot to go to the Premier League. That never ended up happening, obviously, because there was another American there named Daryl DK who was on that squad. So I was watching that quite closely. Now, he was injured earlier this year, and his performances at Barnsley were, they were okay. But he's another year older, another year wiser. He's been around the Chelsea training staff. I do think that does benefit, especially at an early age. So I think a loan move for Gabriel Slanina would not be the worst thing in the world, especially if we end up keeping one or both of our current goalkeepers. That obviously adds more competition. The level of just I guess the level of competition just goes up when you're fighting against others for playing time. I don't think it would be anything but a benefit to whoever would be in the goalkeeping room. Now, this obviously would not be a purchase. This would be a loan. I don't think Chelsea would be willing to let him go this early on, but I don't think a long-term loan move would be completely out of the question. And depending on how it goes, we can cross that bridge later on. But he's someone that I think we should look into this summer because I do believe his level right now would be League One. So let me know what you think of my American bias pick. Let's get into the next pick. So next, I've got probably, in my opinion, the most talented goalkeeper on my list, and that is Stanley Nwabali. Now, you might be thinking, who the hell is that? So I want you to do a quick little exercise for me. Think of AFCON or just Africa, the continent. Now, I want you to tell me your top 2 teams that you think are the most talented teams in Africa. Odds are you said at least one of these 3 teams, which would be Senegal, Nigeria, and if you're kind of a casual to Africa, you may have sent Egypt just because of Mo Salah. But for the most part, I believe most people would have Nigeria or Senegal on that list. And would you believe me if I told you that a goalkeeper that led Nigeria to the AFCON final and just barely lost doesn't play in Europe? In fact, he plays in South Africa. And what if I told you, if you know a little bit about the South African League, he doesn't even play for one of the 3 teams you're thinking of. And if you know about the league, you're probably thinking, oh, he probably plays for the Pirates, the Chiefs, or the Sundowns. No, he doesn't even play for those 3. So you get what I'm saying here. He's a very good goalkeeper. He plays for a pretty big nation, and he starts. In fact, he was kind of the AFCON hero for them when they had about 20 goalkeepers either just not show up or get hurt, and he stepped right in, and he's pretty much never looked back. So after AFCON about 2 years ago, about 2 years ago at this point, there were 2 championship clubs kind of kicking the tires on him. I remember one of them was QPR, and it seems like I vaguely remember the other one maybe being West Brom. I could be wrong about that. But for whatever reason, neither club chose to do anything with the interest that they had. And Stanley is, I don't know how to say this respectfully, but he's almost begged teams in Europe to take a look at him and to sign him. And I think, in fact, he even personally posted on X, it may have been Twitter back then, that how is he supposed to develop more if he can't get to better training grounds and better facilities and et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not saying Grimsby has the best, but considering I don't really know much about the club he plays for, I have to imagine if we had the opportunity for him, he would take it, because he comes across to me as someone who is so desperate to go to Europe that he would pretty much take anything that has playing time and at least a doable salary. So that said, he is someone that I think, this might sound crazy, but I think if Grimsby ever were to get Stanley, I think he would instantly be a top 3 goalkeeper upon signing the contract in League One. And I'm not even saying that to be crazy. I genuinely think that. So if that would be an option and someone in the boardroom, listen to me, please, please, please look into him. If it's possible, make this deal. If there's one guy on my list that I would literally sit here and be like, please look into it, it's Stanley. Go get this done in the boardroom if you can hear me, if you want to listen to me, go get this done. Let's go on to the next pick. At the halfway point in my video, I've got a guy that at this point is probably the most well-known guy on my list, and that's Jack Alnwick for Cardiff City. He's got experience at every level, including in Scotland, and he'd be on a free because his contract is up this summer, and if it makes it, if it puts salt on the wounds, he's a former Scunthorpe player too, so it'd be kind of cool if he came here to succeed. And so for Cardiff has had a really weird year this year. They started off basically in a nosedive, and then they kind of found a little bit of consistency, and then they've kind of just gradually gotten worse. So Alnwick in this span, when they were in their nosedive stage, he was the backup. In fact, an American named Ethan Horvath was the starter. And he came in for Horvath and took over. And he's not working with much, but he did perform a lot better than Horvath. And at this point in his career, I believe League One is his level. I believe he's a nice championship backup, spot starter, that kind of thing. But if he's interested in playing, which I do think he is, because he has won the Cardiff job like 3 different occasions. But of course, that also means he's lost it a few times. But I think he wants to play. And the fact that he's on a free and a salary I don't think it would be incredibly out of the question for us. I think he would pretty much sign on, especially if we enter a current goalkeeper room, and be an upgrade. And at his age, his experience, I think he'd be a perfect fit for us. And let me know what you think of Alnwick. I don't know if you're a fan of him or not, but let me know in the comments. The fourth guy I've got on my list is a pretty you're going to get a reaction if you bring this name up for Northern Ireland fans or people from North Ireland. And that's Bailey Peacock. I refuse to say the hyphenated last name because Peacock is such a cool last name. And he's the number 2 at Birmingham, who just obviously won League One, and they're going to be in the championship. But who would have saw that coming with all the money they spent? And he's really only been the guy one time in his career. At this point, he's kind of at that stage, I think, where he needs to be established. He's still young enough where he's got several years ahead of him, performing at a top level, but he's not going to get there if he's a backup. And at Birmingham City, he's just that. He's a backup. And every time I see Bailey play, I think I may have said Bradley earlier, but Bailey, every time I see Bailey play, he plays very well. And he's a very tall goalkeeper. I think he's got the talent there to succeed. He just needs somebody to give him the chance. And I know he's had chances. I get that. But I think he seems to me like he's a confidence player. And if we were to give him a shot and he were to win and we're behind him, I think he's the type of player that would return the favor to us. So he's somebody I think we should look into. The only thing with him is it would be a transfer. I don't know what the fee would be because, well, actually, I don't have this in front of me, but I think he was on like a 3, maybe even a 4-year deal last year when he signed with Birmingham City. I assumed he was signed with the intention that he would fight for that starting spot, but obviously he did not come out on top. So I believe Birmingham would be in the market if the price was right. And he's someone that I definitely think we shouldn't just we should at least kick the tires on. That's an American saying. I have no clue if you all say that in England across the pond. But I think he's someone that we should at least look at. And I believe Birmingham City would definitely be up for it. So at this point, we've got veterans checked off. We've got young guys checked off. We've got loanees checked off. We've got free transfers and paid transfers checked off. So what are we missing? We are missing a backup option. And that's what I'm going to be covering with this last choice. Now, again, I have nothing against Wright or Eastwood. So if we were to stick with both of them, should we get promoted, I'll support them. But I do think we at least need someone there for some sort of competition. And enter someone whose name has been around Grimsby, but has not been around Grimsby in a very, very, very long time. And that is Richard O'Donnell. And he's a veteran presence, tons of experience. I think he could push right, maybe even come in when if Wright struggles, sort of the way that Wrexham does with Mark Howard. I can't think of the starter's name right now, but when he was struggling, they put in Mark Howard for a game or two just to kind of let him sit and watch and clear his head a little bit. So I think O'Donnell would be that kind of player for us, or at least in my head, that's how I picture it. And he's at Blackpool right now, I believe, and certainly I don't think his wages would be that high. So that would be my veteran, let's push our current guys kind of backup choice. So there's that. Thank you for coming back to the channel. Grimsby America will be returning this week. It will be returning after this video drops. I'm hoping for Monday or Tuesday that's going to drop. And I've got some requests to make, but I'll save it for that video. So again, thank you for watching. Hope you had a good weekend. And we will talk about the game on Grimsby America. Peace.